Wait, what am I doing repeating patterns like my last video with this overdramatic opening? I actually like this game. Yu-Gi-Oh! A manga series created by the now late great Kazuzuki Takakashi. This series is pretty much one of the top 3 great anime series of the early 2000s. Up there with Pokemon and Digimon, and we all know who became the superior series after all that time. It was Digimon. Don't kid yourselves, Pokemon is overrated. Moving on. This series became so massively popular in Japan that it soon made its way to the United States and the rest of the world. Not bad for a manga series that was originally pitched as a horror series. I'm not kidding. Jesus Christ. God damn it, I wish that Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 was the true beginning of the series. At roughly the same time the anime was being shown on TV, a PS1 game was released too, which when you think about it was a really ballsy move to do, because what if the show wasn't a success? That'd be an interesting timeline. Thankfully the show was a massive success and the game was very popular too. I mean, this game was so loved that there's even a dedicated speedrunner community for it, and it's still going to this day. Hell, I loved it so much, this is my original copy of the game that I kept to this day, and I even tried to join this community by putting my name on the board, but it didn't work out. I don't know why, but I feel so proud about that. Right, that's enough backstory. Let's get on to the game. Now, before we start the game's main story, I wanted to share with you something that's pretty cool about this game. You see, one of the game's selling points is that you can import your favorite cards into the game through a password system. Yeah, so if you have an older version of the Dark Magician, you can just type in the card's little numbers at the bottom left-hand corner and BAM! I've got my overrated magician. Sadly, you can only use this on the cards that were released in the early 2000s. So cards like Draining Shield, Future Fusion, or even an Elemental Hero card will not work. Not sure if they continued this trend to the other video games that were released, as I've never actually played any of them. Another cool thing about this game is that if you press square instead of X when battling, you trigger a very well done 3D battle between the monsters. That is still awesome to watch, despite it being very dated in some parts. Right, I think I'm done with that. Let's move on to the story. After naming your character, you see bootleg Jafar roaming around searching for something. Meanwhile, our main character, i.e. you, meet up with our tutor, Simon Moran. Not to be confused with this guy. You get the choice to either continue listening to him or run away. If you want my advice, don't stay to listen, as if you do this you'll skip a good amount of the game, so yeah, don't do that. After ditching Simon, you meet up with your old friend Tiana for a duel. Now before I continue, I feel it's best to let you all know of 2 things. 1. Yes, the other characters have Egyptian themed names. And 2. If you forget to save and you lose any of these earlier duels, it's considered a game over. Not gonna lie, I feel kinda cheated here. After battling other people and taking their best cards, we head off to a festival where we meet Giorno, who just got his ass kicked by Seto. Boy, that sure was a shocking thing to see. Seto notices us that we're watching and he decides to challenge us, only to be interrupted and ask us meet him later in Duel Field, yes that is its name, for a challenge. And I pretty much steamrolled him. Yeah. I think it's best to mention here that, you see, the AI isn't the most challenging at the beginning. While I admit there are times they somehow one-up you, but truthfully they don't really prepare you for later. You'll see what I mean. Afterwards we head back to the palace where Simon scolds us for ditching him. After resting in our room, we find that the palace is under attack by Rip-Off Jafar, but people like to just call him Heishin. Heishin battles Simon and pretty much owns him with, this rip-off Millennium Rod? Boy, there's so much rip-offs in this game. We are soon confronted by Seto and then Heishin again, who demands that we hand over the Millennium Puzzle, and to that we say... Oh. Am I that bad now?
Ah, don't worry, you're all good, bud.
Why?
Actually, you're supposed to lose this fight.
Huh?
Yeah, it turns out that during this one duel against this guy, you actually don't have to win. It's one of those losses that helps you progress the plot events, and even if you somehow beat him, he'll just end up challenging you again until he wins. Still, you get a cool card if you beat him, so I guess there's at least one reason to go for it.
Huh. That could actually be an interesting challenge for this old game, and see how far you can get in that particular moment.
Well, true, but honestly, if you've already got the physical card, you could pretty much just put it through the password system anyway. This does make the continuing attempts to defeat him kinda pointless.
Yeah, that is fair enough. But by the way, Matt.
Yeah, what's up, bud?
What are you doing in my video? How do people keep invading my videos? So Simon, who conveniently lived through whatever that was, comes out of nowhere and smashes the puzzle to pieces, taking us into the Millennium Puzzle itself, and boy, it is still trippy in here. This of course forces us to go into a deep slumber, and then we wake up as Yugi himself, which now leads me to talk about this game's weird inconsistency from the show, as the character you were playing originally was a Tem, and instead of Yugi being the reincarnation of a Tem, they are apparently doppelgangers. Odd, I know, but since it's a game and it's not even going to be connected to the manga or television show, I'm not going to ponder it any more than I have. The other thing is the massive jump in difficulty during certain duels. Take this moment for example. During this point you're in a tournament, and after wiping the floor with good old Rex here, you then fight Weevil and... Well, that humbled things very quickly. Yep. So after that, I had to grind a lot in order to get better cards, and when that finally became tedious, I just got some of my old cards and added them in. Finally beating the little shit. You know, I won't lie, Weevil had it coming on that train. Now, I would talk more about the story, but if I'm honest, I think I'll leave it for you guys to check out for yourselves, as I always try not to go too deep into spoilers unless it's one of those games which is essential to gameplay. Thankfully it doesn't all that much, because the gameplay is pretty simple, as it kind of plays like the card game it's based around. What do I mean by that? Well, the normal parts are as follows. Each player starts with 8,000 life points and 5 cards in their hands. You use these cards to summon monsters, use magic cards or traps to battle each other, and whoever reaches 0 life points loses. But what differs from the game to the card game is everything else. For instance, you can only summon 1 card on the field. Yeah, you can't put a magic or trap down, only 1 of each. You can also select a number of monsters to either dump them or combine them to summon a stronger monster card. Also, each card has a specific guardian star to pick, and if I'm being brutally honest, I bloody hate this. Spell and trap cards are still here, but they differ from their main game to fit these changes. Ritual summoning doesn't really work at all. Now the biggest difference is that you can summon any monster card. Yes, that means I don't need to sacrifice any cards in order to summon a higher level monster card like the Dark Magician or even Blue Eyes, which makes the fusing or combined in monster cards almost pointless. In the early stages of the game, sure it works, but once you get to the later stages of the game and you get higher level cards, it just kinda becomes non-existent. It's a real shame too, as this game, for all intents and purposes, isn't terrible. Hell, I still find myself coming back to this game every so often because it's still fun to play. But the game is held back by this flaw, and it's sad to see an almost good game get pretty much buried by it. Now there is one saving grace about this game, and I think it's the main reason people still love it. The music in this game is amazing! The soundtrack for this game is really good. I'm not joking when I say that. There are so many tracks in this game that are charming, wonderful, and awesome to listen to. While I was writing this script, I'd be finding myself listening to some of the tracks from the game, and I'll probably be the first one to admit that I'd listened to some of its soundtracks even when I was studying in college. It's that good. God damn, that is good. So to summarize my thoughts about the game, while the game is dated and can get ridiculously difficult to play, there is still a lot of fun and polish here. The game looks great for a PS1 game, the music is the best thing about it, and also the game itself is very nostalgic to a lot of people. Myself included. Despite having its flaws, I still enjoyed playing it, and I might even replay it after making this video. Hell, I might even stream it one day. So I highly recommend this game for old and new fans of the show and the card game. I will say that if you've played modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And you find yourself playing this, just be aware it's going to be very basic to what you're used to. Ah, done. Finally. Hopefully this time I can rest. Oh. Looks like I can rest. At last!
Alright, good working with you, Whalley. Yeah, look forward to the video, man. MinimattReviews, what's up? Follow me on Twitter and YouTube and stuff. I don't know, you're gonna put this at the end of the video? Look at all my weep shit. We're all good. You even get the behind the scenes because I literally do that every video I make. I do like a fucking make sure I'm in frame.